Hi everybody, welcome once again to another Low on Health Daily Rambling, where I kind of go over what I've been doing the last past day or so. Today is Wednesday, May 12th, 2010. It's about 1:24 in the afternoon. I just want to say thank you for watching. Again, I decided to do another one. There was some stuff to talk about here. So let's go and get started. Let's go ahead and start off with some anime type of news. Viz, which is one of the publishers over here, basically has laid off 40% of its workforce and has closed down its New York office, which is really interesting. I mean, we all know the economy as a whole still isn't that great, and especially the anime industry has always been just kind of on the down. But it looks like even Viz, apparently they did some cutbacks in 2009, about a year ago. They cut some people off, and now they're cutting more people. It's like 60. In which case, it's kind of weird for that company to be that big, but Viz is really one of the bigger ones up there. I mean, they're kind of more along the lines of Funimation. When I think of just anime companies that are still around, Viz, Funimation, and Bandai, they're really the only ones I can think of off the top of my head. But it's sad to see they had to do cuts. But as we all know, this industry as a whole is kind of going down. I'm yawning for no apparent reason. I'm debating on taking naps again. I don't know. I want to throw off my whole sleep schedule, but man, for some reason I'm just right now after I eat lunch and everything. It's nice and breezy. I just want to take a nap. Anywho, Viz, that sucks, but hey, what do you do? Moving on, Yakuza is getting a PSP game, which they had mentioned was going to happen, and which case it's apparently going to star that dude on the right there. In which case, it's tentatively it would be called like Black Leopard New Yakuza, like a new chapter. It's not Kazuma that's going to be in it. But it looks like they are going to be offering like the PSP version. They're offering a downloadable version and a UMD version in Japan. That has come out in Japan on the September 22nd, which is relatively soon. So who knows if we're going to see it in America, or who knows if they're going to cut stuff if we're making over here. I would be really interested if it was like, a decent, 56 yen is, roughly $50. If it was maybe like a $40, UMD type of, or download PS3 game, that'd be kind of cool to put on the PSP. But looking forward to it. I like the Yakuza, and more the barrier. I'm not a big fan of the PSP in general, or handheld gaming in general. Whenever I do my handheld gaming, I do it at home, in which case that's usually contradicts the whole handheld gaming supposed to be on the go. Anywho, let's move on to game FAQs. Their poll today is, how do you feel about EA charging $10 for an online multiplayer code if a game is bought used? So this is basically, they're trying to, prevent used game sales or impacting online stuff. For me, it's okay with me. Users can decide if it's going to be worth it, which is what I'm going to say. I would even almost say it's a great idea in the long run, in which case the majority of the people here are like, no, it's a bad idea. I hope nobody else picks up on this. But honestly, if they were to sell a video game that has online and multiplayer components and sell it for, let's say, $40 or $50, like underneath the normal $60, and then basically to play online you have to buy an online code. I don't know how they would instigate that through Live or PSN or whatnot. I would be all for that, because honestly, majority of the games I don't even. But here I am yawning again. I'm sorry. The majority of the games I play, I just play for the single player experience. I usually don't play multiplayer. So if they could be a cheaper game multiplayer single player wise, that'd be great. Of course, multiplayer people are going to be all up in arms about that, blah 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 blah. But no, it should be real interesting, because nowadays almost every single game has an online and a single player component, in which case usually one's more half-assed than the other. Rarely is it best on both sides. Like Modern Warfare 2 is probably, and Halo are probably the ones that come to the top of my head that are really good. One way or another. Why am I yawning? One way or another. So, interesting to see how this works out, but of course the majority of people are like, no, rabble. But of course that's really because I don't buy games, in which case real quick I want to bring up Gamefly real quick. I got a little spiel I want to do here. Gamefly. When I woke up this morning, I had 3D Dot Heroes down in my queue of saying very low availability, in which case it made me think I wasn't going to get it. And this was all the way up till maybe an hour ago. So I was getting very perturbed that, hey, who knows, once again, maybe I won't get a new release game from Gamefly, which, no big deal. But as I mentioned before, they basically said that it's a first-come, first-served basis, whoever has that game in their queue the longest. Which is basically why I have my queue here. A bunch of games, just even if I may or may not play them, they're in my queue now, so I can have, hopefully, first-come, first-served basis on them. But earlier today, 3D Dot Heroes was not there. So this got me thinking that might be the second, game in a row recently that I haven't do that, the other one being near where I don't get a new release. And that's mainly why I use Gamefly, is getting new releases. So basically, I actually had me look into Blockbuster, in which case I went to Blockbuster and they have this. Bam! Non-stop gaming rental for $21.99. Gamefly right now for 2 out at a time I pay $22.95. In which case I do the 2 for Gamefly. That way I always have one game. If I send one back, it's because I'm getting one or I got one, so I always have a new game. So looking at this one for Blockbuster, I was kind of doing some research on it, and the cool thing about the Blockbuster one is I could go to the store, immediately turn one in, and walk out with one. there would be no day delay. There'd be no, availability would be lesser than it is on GameFly. But I almost like the idea of being able to walk in there and get a game and drop a game off and get one. Only one game out at a time, but as I said, I could do it as often as I want. So actually, I even took the initiative, which is very rare for me, and drove to Blockbuster to kind of see what their, Game Pass entailed or what their normal game rental things. And the normal game rental is like $9 for 5 days, which is ridiculous. So I was talking to the lady there, explaining to her I play the new releases and whatnot. She's like, well, we normally get the new releases, it might be a day or so, but we usually have them by Thursday, Friday, and you can check online on their website here. You can actually check to see their availability, and I confirmed that. The only problem was like this one right here. I was like, well, do you have 3D Dot Heroes? And I checked online too, and they said not available, or they weren't going to get it. I thought it was weird. So when I was at the store, I asked her about it, and she looked it up. She said, yes, unfortunately, we're not going to carry that game. And it is kind of a budgeted game. It's a $39.99 game, but I wanted to play 3D Dot Heroes. And they did have Nier there. They had a bunch of other new releases there, which was great. So I was like looking at and milling it over, and I was like, well, how often, can you rent them? She's like, you can rent a game in the morning. Like, you open at 10 to midnight, Monday through Sunday. So there's no, lag with, Gamefly on the holidays for mailing. She's like, you come in, you can drop one off, you can come back 2 hours, 3 hours later, you can come back 5 minutes later and drop that game off and pick up a new one, which actually is really good for me because there'll be a lot of times I'm like, I'll keep that game an extra day or so just because of the mailing cycle and I'll play it. And but I almost like the idea. Some games I just play for 6 to 8 hours, beat them, and that's it, and then I have to wait another day. But theoretically, with Blockbuster, I could just take it back that same day by midnight and get another game, which is actually very, very cool. I mean, the main downside to Blockbuster is A, I would have to actually drive there. Big whoop-de-doo. I know it's 2 minutes away. And B, their availability. They might not always have the new releases. They might not always have a game I want to play, but they'll always have a game there I can play, which would be kind of cool just to kind of peruse them and go, never played this game before. I want to get back to it. I don't have to worry about it screwing up my new release queue like I do for Gamefly. So it's actually something I was milling over back and forth saying, hey, if Gamefly doesn't ship me 3D Dot Heroes, or if they don't ship me Red Dead Redemption, that will be the nail in the coffin, and I'll switch over to Blockbuster. But as you can see right here, bam, they did ship me 3D Dot Heroes, so good for them. So if they screw up Red Dead Redemption, though, I will more than likely actually cancel my Gamefly and switch over to Blockbuster, just because I'm almost digging that vibe. I'm yawning again. I'm so very sorry, people, that I'm yawning. Anywho, let's move on to today's game. What I got here, let's go ahead and see what it is. It is, ta-da, Devil May Cry. The first one. Devil May Cry, as we all know, is kind of a hack and slashes game, basically released in 2001, so this definitely does predate God of War. If anything, God of War is more like this game. But what I like about Devil May Cry is besides that, it definitely has Uber style, Uber substance. And of course, there's Devil May Cry 2, 3, 4, and of course, Bayonetta, which isn't Devil May Cry, but very much plays like it. I really enjoyed the first Devil May Cry. I mean, it's basically a really fast action, lots of style, lots of combos, and lots of badass moves. It's just a very stylish, fun game to play. And I love the first one so much. I even watched the anime. The anime was okay. But I really enjoyed the first Devil May Cry. In which case, actually, I have Devil May Cry 4. I think I've played them all. I definitely played 4. I really enjoyed 4. I actually have 4 for the PC. The cool thing about the PC version of 4, which this isn't 4, this is 1, and I don't have the box version, as well I'm mentioning now. For Devil May Cry 4, because you get to play Nero and Dante, it's a nice, fresh mechanic of using 2 different characters, 2 different playstyles. But playing it on the PCs, you can basically unlock the frame rates and get that thing running super mega smooth, and it's sick how well Devil May Cry 4 works on the PC. But that basically started with Devil May Cry. It's very fluid and very stylish, and I very much enjoy it. It's a series that I've always enjoyed. Even 2 and 3 not being that great, they were fun to play, and this is actually one of the series that I still enjoy. Definitely not go back and play into this one, but this might get me interested in probably maybe reinstalling Devil May Cry 4 on my hard drive and playing that again, because that was just a fun game. And I'm yawning again. Okay, so that's about, 4 or 5 yawns? Okay. But other than that, as always, I'd like to thank you guys all for watching, and I will catch you next time.